Hey y'all, in the comments section of my last video, INKDOG asked about my tattoos, so I thought that it might be fun to do kind of a soft speaking, whisper, show and tell kind of video where I could talk about some of my tattoos and incorporate some sort of tingle-worthy items. So that's what's in store for you. Some of the items that I've chosen are really obvious choices as far as the way they link up to the stories about my tattoos. A couple of the items are a little bit of a stretch, so please bear with me. Alright, here we go. I would like to start with this arm. I'd like to start with this lady down here. This is a unicorn, but she's not just any unicorn. She is from a film called The Last Unicorn. It was an animated film that came out in the 80s, based on a novel by Peter S. Beagle. And I loved this movie so much when I was a kid. I loved it so much. And there's a scene in the movie where the protagonists are talking with a skeleton. And they are trying to get the skeleton to tell them the answer to a riddle. And the skeleton's giving them a real hard time, and he demands wine from them. And it is a very funny scene and a very memorable one for anyone who's seen the film. So, for my first item, I thought I would incorporate a glass of wine. I keep things real simple in my home. I don't really have any actual wine glasses. I just use juice glasses. And this glass right here is not dirty. It looks dirty. It's not. It's just a little scuffed. The wine that I happened to have in my home at the time that I decided this was this. And it is rice wine, it's sake. I'm not a real sake connoisseur or wine connoisseur in general. This is just what they sell in my local supermarket, and I like it. It's very cold because I like to drink it cold. I don't know if you're supposed to drink sake cold. I know that usually if I order it in a Japanese restaurant, it's usually brought to me warm, but I refrigerate it because that's just how I like it. I really like this bottle, the dark emerald green glass. I obviously would never condone littering, especially not into the ocean, but if some horrible trick of fate caused this bottle to fall into the ocean and break, I think it would make some really gorgeous sea glass over time. So, the next tattoo that I want to talk about is this one up here. And it is an amulet. I think it's just referred to as the stone. And it's being held by these two kind of gnarly looking hands. These hands actually belong to a ancient rat named Nicodemus, I believe. It's from a movie called The Secret of Nim. Also an animated film that came out, I believe, in the early 80s. Also based on a novel. I don't know if you all have certain movies that you loved as a kid that you watch as an adult now, and you kind of are sad to realize that they don't hold up over time. My best example for that, and this is kind of out there, but when I was a kid, I loved the movie Ewok Adventure, Caravan of Courage. I loved that movie, y'all. I loved it a lot. And then I saw it again as an adult when I was maybe 23 or so. Doesn't hold up. It definitely had a lot of novelty value because I had that emotional connection to it, but it did not hold up at all. The Secret of Nim, however, totally holds up. It's a really good film. But in that movie, early on, there's a scene where the main character, Mrs. Frisbee, she's a mouse, she goes to see a character named Mr. Aegis to get medicine for her son who is sick. And Mr. Aegis, he takes a bunch of, I think, herbs and things like that, and he puts them together with his mortar and pestle and grinds them up. And then he puts them all into an envelope for Mrs. Frisbee to take home with her. So, I don't have any herbs or anything like that on hand. So what I thought I would do is I would just grind up some sea salt, and then I could try putting that into an envelope. I have the envelope right here. Some sea salt. And this very weighty mortar and pestle. I'm going to see if I can do this without making any awful noises on the desk here. actually having this echo. The next tattoo that I would like to talk about is on my other arm. And it is a recreation of one of my favorite scenes from one of my favorite movies, Jurassic Park. I have a very personal connection to that film. I think I'll tell the story some other time. It's a good one. But for now, I'll just say that I loved that movie when I was a kid. I love that movie like crazy, and I still love it. So, the thing that I want to share about Jurassic Park, and I'm gonna have to move my computer very carefully because I don't want to upset my microphone too much here. Slow reveal. Okay. So there we go. You probably can't see the details too well. It's a really dark poster. But this poster is a limited edition print produced by a company called Mondo. And Mondo makes sort of reimagined film and television posters. They're a really fun company, and their prints can be really hard to get because there's a high demand for them, and they usually do very limited batches. But this particular one for Jurassic Park was made by an artist named J.C. Richard, or J.C. Richards. I think it's just J.C. Richard. And I'm a big fan of his work. I think he's absolutely phenomenal. I definitely recommend looking him up. He's done a number of really awesome posters for Mondo, as well as some really incredible artwork elsewhere. But you can see I love this poster. We have the two brachiosaurs over here. Brachiosaurs. And you can't really see it down here, but there's a very scary T-Rex down here. And there's some people making a getaway in a Jeep. Or what is that, a Ford Explorer, I think? Over here. And then up in the tree here, we have the two kids. And the archaeologist that was played by Sam Neill up here. You can't see them in that clear detail. They're kind of just like profiles or shadow. But even so, the detail is just really, really nice. And I like that it's a piece that you have to get really close up to appreciate. It's not just that my lighting is bad, although my lighting is bad. It is a very dark piece, and there's a lot of fun stuff that you can find in it, but you really interesting because in some of J.C. Richards' other pieces, in a lot of his other pieces, there's this kind of almost grainy quality that makes it so that I think they're easier to appreciate from a little farther away. But this particular one is definitely easier to appreciate up close. Coming back this way very slowly. The last tattoo that I want to talk about is it's not from a movie like the other three. It's from a book, kind of. Yes, it's from a book. And I get a lot of misinterpretations on this one. I've had a lot of people ask me if it is a abstract Pokeball or an abstract Eric Cartman. It is neither of those. It is a symbol drawn by a gentleman named Joseph Campbell. And I found the symbol in a book called The Power of Myth. And this book is actually a transcript of an interview. Joseph Campbell was interviewed over the course of, I think, like 2 or 3 days. And he was interviewed by someone named Bill Moyers. And he was interviewed, this is kind of an interesting factoid, this interview happened, I believe, on Skywalker Ranch. And there are actually some Star Wars photos scattered throughout the book, and there are a few Star Wars references in the interview. But Joseph Campbell was an amazing person. So brilliant, it would make your heart hurt. He's amazing. And he was a comparative mythologist. And if you don't know what that is, my understanding, or the best way that I can describe it, is that he studied the mythologies, sort of the legends and traditions and religions of all kinds of different cultures, societies from different parts of the world in different places over the course of time. And he would sort of compare and contrast and use the similarities and differences that he would find to determine what made certain cultures unique. There would be instances where he would find that 2 cultures on opposite ends of the globe would have very similar mythologies around the same time, even though there's no possibility they could have had any contact with each other. And he would sort of explore what was going on at that time in human development that would give rise to those kind of myth structures. And I'm not sure if I'm making it sound a little dry, but he makes it so interesting. It's really good, and definitely a must-read for anyone who writes. I think it's a really popular read with film writers and novelists. But I have it right here. This is a sort of battered, used copy. It's probably my 4th or 5th copy because I keep lending it out to people and not getting it back, which is fine. I generally don't lend a book out if I wouldn't be okay with not getting it back. Usually if I lend a book, it's because I love that book, and I love the idea of passing it on to someone else even if I don't get it back. But the flip side to that is that every few years I need to buy it again. I can't remember exactly what the line is, but I know there's a line. There's a good scene in Battlestar Galactica between Adama and President Roslin, where they talk about that very same thing about lending books. I don't remember what the line is, but it's a good scene. It's relevant, I promise. Gorgeous photographs and illustrations in here. I'm having trouble finding the symbol that's on my arm, but it's in here, I promise. And what it essentially means, and I'm not sure to what degree I'm putting my own spin on this, and to what degree I'm understanding what Joseph Campbell meant. But my understanding is that it essentially symbolizes that our ego or our conscious mind isn't necessarily what's at the center of our being. Or it's not what's running the show. I think that's how we put it. And then underneath it says, follow your bliss. I know everything's backward. It's my camera, sorry. But it says follow your bliss. And that was kind of Joseph Campbell's motto, and something he said a lot, and I really like it. In part because it's a nice saying, and in large part because it was him who said it. Alright, so I actually have a lot more tattoos. Most of them I don't think would be super easy to show on camera. I'm sure I could figure something out, just grab like some on my back, and a bunch of other places. Maybe I'll figure that out for another video, but thanks for hanging in there, and I hope that you enjoyed this. Thanks for hanging out. I hope that you were able to relax, and I hope that whenever you get into bed next, whether it's right now or later on, I hope you fall right asleep into an awesome deep sleep with really wonderful dreams. And I hope you keep coming back. And thank you so much for watching this. Thank you.